will we get to this point in Boruto? Will we ever get to this point still? Listen, for a while, I felt like during Two Blue Vortex's run, and a little before that, I felt like this point has been kind of scrapped away ever since the day Kodachi, ever since the day Kodachi was taken off of the writing team. It took me a minute to think about his name. I might not edit that out, but Kodachi got taken off the writing team. And I've been wondering, how could this conclusion still make sense? Kawaki wanting to end the age of Shinobi. Okay, currently this kid wanting to destroy the Shinobi world makes no sense to me. Okay, this is a theory video that doesn't have to do with the new chapter, the most recent chapter, not entirely at least, right? Some of the stuff comes into play, and I kind of had the idea from what recently happened. But nonetheless, let me dive right into it. So Kawaki, who loves the guy who he's protecting still, the 7th Hokage, and the village that he's fighting for is the same village. Everything he's doing right now is for what the Hokage stood for, the head of the ninjas stood for, right? And we've already seen time and time again, especially in Two Blue Vortex, it's been highlighted a whole lot that Kawaki's main vendetta is against the pale-skinned alien gods, okay? Against the Otsutsuki. That's his main vendetta. He's even said after he's done killing all the Otsutsuki, he can die or whatever. He doesn't care about his own life to this extent. He cared about Naruto so much and the threat that the Otsutsuki posed against him, because that his whole life, Kawaki's whole life has been dealing with Otsutsuki, or the proxy, the nearest thing to them, right? He doesn't want anything to do with them. So he's so vehemently against these people that he's willing to seal Naruto away for years in a one-sided sense of protection and selflessness, right? This is his one-sided action of selflessness. He's not doing this for himself, he's doing it for you. But he's gonna force it on you, right? Anyway, I think the plot twist, this is where the theory part comes in. I know it took me a second to get here, but I think the big twist, or the plot twist, is not really entirely a plot twist, because we've all had this theory of Amado betraying and becoming the main villain in the end. But I think that this kid that can't do a complete 180 from his current monomaniacal views and his way of thinking that's so linear, nothing lines up with him wanting to end the Shinobi world. I think that Amado would be the catalyst for this, because nothing about Kawaki right now, I don't even think he would want to advocate for scientific ninja tech to be the main thing in the world. I don't think this is why he's saying the Age of Shinobi's ending. He's trying to push scientific ninja tech onto the forefront. I don't think he's that big of an advocate. I don't think he would want to remove the foundational system for this futurist mindset. He's not like that. Instead, I think that Amado, again, will be taking Kawaki and wiping his mind to suit this new mindset, okay? I don't think Amado, the character that we've seen and we know his personality, I don't think this rebellion is going to take the form of him gaining power for his own to become stronger and using that power. That's not his style. It's not his personality or character. I believe his betrayal will take form, and it will obviously manifest because of his own daughter and the use of the current powers he has walking around. So he's going to do it because of his daughter, and he's going to use the things, the pieces that he already has at play, i.e. Kawaki and Kashin Koji, things like that. I feel like it'll be super easy for him to reprogram Kawaki into doing his bidding. The future that we saw, that we're seeing right here, I think is a Kawaki that has been somewhat influenced or brainwashed by Amado. Okay, he's molding him into the shape that he wants to. He could have rewritten Kawaki's ideals to suit his own. Now, here's where the bigger parts of the theory come in. Why would Amato do that? Well, I think Amato hates ninjas and shinobi life and existence to his core. But this whole time, he's been suppressing this hatred in order to achieve his goal. I think that this hatred stems from shinobis being the resulting factor that took his daughter's life away from him. And this is why he wants to age his shinobi to end. Right? We haven't even gotten any details about Amato. Certain things obviously won't make sense, like they already don't. Like, how can Kawaki, a natural born kid who has been turned into a scientific ninja tool, how can he have an override code? Okay, now you can try to say it makes sense if you think of it in terms of a sleeper agent, you know, because they can see numbers and their brains get overrided in a sense, right? Quote unquote overrided, and they become hypnotized to a certain degree where they can be controlled and brainwashed and activated like a robot or a puppet through learned commands and tasks and programming in that sort of way, right? But we've never gotten this explanation for any of the current androids or, you know, artificial beings that we know about, especially the one who created from DNA that God knows where it came from. Where did he even get Jiraiya's DNA from? Where did he get any of this information about Jiraiya from, okay? Where did he get... Did he grow him in a test tube similar to Yamato or Mitsuki, right? If so, why not show us this process so the identity and the makeup of their existence can feel more natural to us, like, you know, something that we can actually hold on to. For example, well, you know, we haven't seen any inner workings or mechanics from flesh wounds from these characters. They all bleed like normal biological living people. Where's the technology that resides inside of their vessel? You know, this hasn't made sense to me even since the frogs, and nor the ad that just popped up, right? Even since the frogs, this hasn't made sense to me. Nonetheless, since they glossed these things over with their lamp lighting, writing techniques and whatnot, so on and so forth, I don't think it would even matter. Kawaki's mind would just get reprogrammed, right? He would just be able to reprogram him in the same way he could shut him down, right? It's still possible for Amato to try to use Kawaki to achieve his overall goal, right? Which is probably the second reason why he doesn't want Kawaki to be so vulnerable to attacks. He wants to use him as the catalyst. He wants to use him as the vehicle for his revenge. I think he might want retribution against, or justice in a sense. He might want justice against the shinobi world because they took his daughter's life for him. And I think a lot of things, like, they haven't been answered before, but when have they ever tried to explain how these people work? Like I said, even in Dragon Ball, we've gotten kind of when artificial humans were shown into play, we get things, certain narrative points, or even artistic things that highlight and show us exactly how non-human these people are, right? I think it doesn't make sense for them to completely ignore this aspect of their characters and try, like, not to show, like, that these people are really artificial people, right? And I know a lot of people, like what you see on screen, people think that Code is going to get his power boost. I think that's still well within line to happen. I think a lot of things might come of that, like Hidari trying to fight Code because Code is going after Sarada, right? I think a lot of that is completely possible. But this relationship and dynamic between Kawaki and Amato using Kawaki and seemingly trying to, you know, make a bond or a pact or a deal with him, like their whole exchange is supposed to be a mutual exchange and a mutual agreement, with Kawaki having the most leverage because of the physical power. But we've already been shown that he can put Kawaki to sleep with one command code. Okay, it's happened before. So this dynamic of them now being in the equivalent power exchange because Amato used his wits to put Kawaki in check. Like, I'll give you your power if you just don't hurt me and eventually give me my daughter. No, I think Amato is secretly holding all of the keys here. And I think it hasn't been hidden. I think this is kind of what they want us to think, right? They want us to think of Amato as a red herring type of character. The things you do is a red herring, right? He seemingly wants to be a good guy, but he secretly only wants what he wants, and he's only going to act for himself. Oop, wrong picture. But nonetheless, I guess that's the summary of my theory. And you know, even if all of this is wrong and somehow Kawaki does, you know, quote unquote, naturally change his entire philosophy and viewpoint, and this outcome of wanting the shinobi world to end still does happen through purely Kawaki's own mindset, not any other person influencing or mind controlling him. If this still happens like that, then I wouldn't be surprised, because like I was saying earlier, they force things to happen even if it might not make logical sense for the story. So if they still make Kawaki completely shift into this mindset, yes, I think it will be forced, because right now he has no reason to even want that. He hasn't even stated any sort of particular hatred for shinobi. He even tried to lean in and learn shinobi sort of things because of Naruto. Yeah, it's not his forte. That's not what he likes to do. You know, he stopped training, but nonetheless, he doesn't have any sort of visible hate for shinobi, right? So honestly, on top of all of what I said, I don't even think this is going to happen anyway, right? I don't think this outcome is still going to happen anyway, and if it does, it's not going to be anything like this, because I don't think it can, outside of the logical sense I'm trying to make it have, right? I'm trying to make it have a logical way to happen. I don't know how else Kawaki would flip his entire mindset around, but this is the only way I could see it coming about. Okay, Boruto I still think is the worst possible future, and I have other theories and things that I've thought, and some of them are obvious, like Hidari, you know, obviously turncoating, and you know, the red herring about Code becoming an ally. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does happen, it's like, I know it's not fair to say, oh, if this happens, I won't be surprised, but it does happen. You know, I've predicted it, because obviously the things that you don't predict didn't happen. So it's easy to say that they weren't going to happen in the first place, right? It's easy to say that these things weren't obvious in the first place. But I feel like the way this series goes, they use one of the two obvious outcomes every single time. This is why I speak of it like that. You know, I know it's not fair to just throw a bunch of guesses up into the air, and then when one of them happens, you kind of say, oh, look, this is predictable, it happened. But I feel like this series, again, only goes in two different ways from the obvious outcomes. And they even understand that some of these outcomes are what fans might have desired or thought possible. They do their lamplighting narrative techniques, and they try to change your mind about what foreshadowing is and so on and so forth. But I'm about to go and make a whole nother video if I keep talking about that. Let me end this video now. Quick Boruto theory. Tell me what you think, even if you hate it. But I'm out.